Hi everyone, my name is Arthur. I'm French and I work for i.DO. i.DO, written i.DO, is a solutions partner of Asana. We are more globally what we call work management experts. And today we are together for a webinar, a session, training session about ticketing in Asana. Ticketing is about any type of collection process, collecting information through Asana via form and handling and processing that information in Asana and leveraging all the Asana features in that purpose. All right, let me share my screen and let's go in my Asana demo environment. Welcome in my Asana demo environment. Let me first briefly introduce Asana or remind you the main concept of Asana using this slide. This visual represents what we call in Asana the pyramid of clarity. What's important with that visual is not so much the pyramid, but like the concept behind it. This pyramid represents the different Asana features as layers. The first layer at the bottom would be the Asana tasks you create for yourself, tasks you create for other, or actually a request in a ticketing context can be a task also. Those tasks will be placed in projects. In the concept of ticketing, the ticketing project or the requests projects, the projects where you receive the different incoming requests, tickets, will be a project. And sometimes those projects also belong to portfolios. Portfolio is a good way to have an overview over a group of projects, to do some reporting, tracking progress, have an overview over a large amount of projects. Today, we will really focus on the two first layers, the tasks and the projects, and we will see how the different Asana features can be leveraged in that context: automation, integration, workflows, also reporting, security in terms of access, sharing option. We will see all of that today in Asana in the context of ticketing projects. All right, let me move to my ticketing project. Here it is. Let me introduce to you that project, the way it is built, and what is it useful for. So first, just a bit of context. Why do we do ticketing or any type of collecting requests process in Asana? First, Asana is a very versatile tool, so a very flexible tool that can handle almost every use case of every industries in the world, and that's why Asana is in a leader position in its category and has so many innovative features that also to be able to serve the different industry and use cases. In that world of use cases for the different industries, there is quite often the need to collect information. Could be anything related to IT ticketing project, for example, but could be also like customer feedback, customer question, brief collection process, HR, you're recruiting and you want to create what we call an ATS, applicant tracking system. Well, technically you can also do that in Asana. Bug following up, cross-team handoff, etc. So the key idea is that Asana is really shining when you need to handle, collect first a ticket, handle it, especially with multiple people and multiple teams, handle the processing of the ticket. Asana is really useful. Let me show you the way it works. So the ingredients to have a ticketing process or any type of collection process in Asana is first a project. You need to create a project. This is here a project called Customer Support Ticketing. This project is shared with a team, for example, or some individuals. I'm an admin of this project. Everything is normal until now. Then what do we need? Well, we need to have a certain number of information categorized in those fields, because fields will be a very handy way of categorizing information when collecting requests and tickets. Because if information is only in text field, that's going to be much harder to process, to also build some reporting on information, build some automation. If ticket is urgent, then do this, etc. So you need to categorize information. To do that, you will create multiple fields. For example, here, ticket progress, very useful in the way we will handle the ticket after it's received, from not started to in progress to waiting, etc. Completely customizable, those fields, it's really up to you to build. Then the priority level, this is also optional but quite useful to be able to sort tickets in different categories of priorities. Type of tickets, also useful for you to categorize tickets based on their type, create some nice report and graph based on the different type. I will show you later. This one is another example. Tier, for example, if you have multiple type of clients, you could say, okay, I'm going to categorize them in different tiers. And then some number fields. Estimated time here is a good one. That's a number field, actually a time field, where we would display some information in terms of how do I think this ticket will take in terms of time to complete for my team. When you do some, for example, resource management, that's quite handy to be able to charge, to put some workloads on your different team members. Actual time would be this one, the actual time spent for each ticket. Could be also compared with the estimated time and see if you have some gaps in your analysis, forecast, and the reality of things. And you will see, if I open another here, view tab, you will see also additional field like resolution time. This one will be calculated automatically based on when the ticket is completed. This is what we call here a calculation, a formula field is the right name, that will calculate automatically time ended, time completed of the task minus time created, which gives you a total. I will show you more example after that, but first, ingredients of ticket collection is those fields. That's optional fields, but very handy when you want to categorize information. Okay, so now I have a ticketing project in front of me. I have multiple tickets. Here, they are sorted in different categories, not started, in progress, waiting, etc. Usually, we say on the top of that funnel will be the new tickets. Not started is a new one. And then they will evolve, they will progress from the bottom from the top to the bottom. All right. Another ingredient of creating ticket and handling ticket is collecting those tickets. How do I collect them? Do I create a task and fill information based on the email I received? Actually not. What you're gonna do here, you're gonna go to your customize panel and go to the form section, and here create what we call an Asana form. A form is like any form, Google form, type form, etc. It's a normal form, but it's attached to the project in a way that instead of collecting information in a table, in a spreadsheet, etc., you will collect information as Asana tasks. Each request submitted, each ticket submitted via that form will trigger the creation of a task in Asana, meaning that forms are a way to actually create tasks in Asana, an alternative to a more manual way of creating tasks. I will open an existing form here to show you the way it is in the backend. So this is the form builder that you use when you want to create form. That's a series of questions. You can here move new question, decide the type of question. Is it some text? Is it some menu like single select, multi-select? Is it a date, a number? Then you choose the name of your question. How are you today? Just to show you an example, you can add some description here if you want to make the question more straightforward. And then here you can get short answer, long answer if it's text. You can make the question required, meaning mandatory here. And you can place that question or along your form at the right place. I will remove this one and show you the existing question here. So in my form for my ticket, I have name, email address, how can I help you today, which is connected to actually a field. Okay, this concept is really important. When you create form in a ticketing process, you would create a question, but very important here on top of the question, you have fields, meaning that you can associate your question to a specific field. And by doing that, you will connect the question and the field in a way that first, the different options of your field will be visible as options of the question for the submitter. I will show you the result in a minute. But also, every time someone will fill that question here, it will automatically fill the field in the task, meaning you don't have to pass information from text to field. It will be categorized automatically. So this is the way you do it. You create your field the way I've showed you in the project before, all the fields you need, and then for each question, you will automatically associate an existing field. You don't even have to put the different option of the question here. So the question will be empty. You say, okay, I want single select. How can I help you today? Go to type and connect to type. And by doing that, all the type options here are directly visible in the fields. All right, let's move on. Describe the problem, which is a text long type of question. What's your account level? An example of how we can collect another type of menu selection question with the different type of clients. Additional files, which is optional, meaning the mandatory option here, required is not selected. That can add one or multiple attachments. And how did you receive? When do you need this resolved? This is a date question. People can select a date, okay? So once you have creating this form here, on the top of the form, you will see copy link, meaning that the form is associated with a link that you can type in your browser. Let me show you if I manage to. Type that form in your browser or hyperlink or whatever, and this will display a real form here where people can fill information. So let me show you with my name, arthur@gmail.com, fake email. Okay, I will help you today. Billing, describe the issue, account level tier 1, attachment file, you would add any relevant file here, etc. And push submit. And once you push submit, here you will see in my project, boom, a new form just being added. And as you can see, the different fields here were automatically filled by the form. Type billing, tier 1, and priority was chosen automatically. So let's see how it works. If I click on the task, I will see the different fields. Here I will see my answers. This is very nice. All the answers are either entered via the custom fields or they are entered in the description, meaning that all the text answers will be here registered in the description of your Asana task. And then you see a bunch of additional things, subtasks created. This is related to a workflow. I will come back to that in a minute. I even have here little comments automatically based on the workflow, etc. Okay. But for the basic of what just happened, it's really about I fill the form, I push submit, and the form create a task in Asana. And that's it. If you understand that, you get the whole concept. So it's all about like sharing a form that could be public, meaning people without licenses could fill it. I will show you how to do that, but could be a public form or a private form, up to you. Private would be Asana user only and public would be anyone in the world. People fill the form, they create tasks in Asana, and then as a project manager, as a ticketing manager, you collect the different requests and you say, okay, now what can I do with those requests? I have a task, I can put my name on the top, or I can put the name of my colleague. I can change the date because I need that ticket, that request to be handled at some date next week. Or maybe I'm going to start working on it and do something, and then I will push it to in progress. And as soon as eventually it's solved, I would ultimately push it, for example, here in the done category once it's done. But you get the idea. So you get a series of tickets and they are being pushed through the different section based on their level of completion, and you have all the information at hand. All right, so that's for the basic concept of ticketing process in Asana that is valid for any request process. Instead of receiving like your request by email or like in a file or in another form that you need to copy paste the answers in something else, everything will come in Asana and you can handle the requests and leverage the different Asana features in order to process the request. For example, you can here discuss with your colleagues using the commands and say, okay, please check this ticket, help me on this ticket. And like that, you collaborate using the different Asana features, but in the context of those ticketings. So if that's new for you, this is completely relevant in Asana in terms of project. That's what we call a process workflow kind of project, compared to more like the timeline type of project. So two different type of projects. Timeline is more like I have 6 months to complete a large series of things with a timeline and different phase, etc. And this is what we call a workflow type of project in Asana, where we receive things and we process them through the Asana project. All right, that's the end of this first part, basic concept of handling ticketing in Asana. Let's now look at more advanced use cases that makes Asana not like a complete ticketing tool, but close to what we can get with other dedicated tool. First is reports. Attached to every project is here dashboard. Dashboard can be customized based on the project data. So in that context, if the project data is about ticketing, well, the dashboard will be about showing this ticketing data. So if I come back to my project here list, I want to say something about reporting and dashboarding. Any information visible in those tasks, any of those fields completed, assignee, due date, even the priority, the type, the progress, the tier, anything that is in those tasks, one way or another, could be retrieved in a dashboard, leveraged in a dashboard. And that's what we do here. So for example, here, we say, okay, I want to see the number of tickets per type and the different type, which is a field. Ticket per tier. I want to see here the resolution time per type of ticket. Okay, good one. So now I'm combining here the tier. Actually, it's not type, it's a tier here, I would say, per tier. So I'm combining here the tier, but also the resolution time. So now I have an information about, in average, how long it takes to complete a ticket based on their tier. Average time spent on each option of ticket progress. So here, my progress has different options of that field, the status, different options, and I can calculate how long in average I spend in the different options. By the way, this is like a demo environment, so that what the number makes no sense. But the concept is here that you can leverage any information. Ticket per priority, total task by completion status. This one is very basic, so I will remove this one out of my view. Total of resolution time, 2 year, also very, very large because demo environment. Maybe if I put average, it's a bit better. So any data here in your project can be visible in a dashboard. If you want to add more widget, you just click here on add widget, and very easy, you say, okay, I'm going to report on work. I'm going to choose the type of graph, and then I'm going to look at the dimensions, the data I want to combine. For example, here, let's say I want to combine the priority level with the number of tickets. Okay, easy, and then that's it. I have the task by priority level. Nice. Okay, now I want to have that only for the tickets that are not completed. Well, let me add a filter, and I would say add filter, completion status, incomplete. More relevant, and then total incomplete task by priority level. And by the way, you can change this title here if you prefer to add something else. So it's really about choosing the different dimensions and data you want to combine. It's like in Excel. Let me combine this column with that line, with that selection, only for this filter. That's the same concept. What else you can do with your ticketing project? You can decide to automate your workflow to make it done partly by automations and rules. Let's say you have a very specific workflow. Every time you receive a task, you assign it to a certain person based on its type. Okay, so collaborator or team member 1 is responsible for access, team member 2 for functionality, 3 for billing, 4 for privacy and security, etc. How can I make sure that based on the type, I assign this ticket automatically to the right person? Let me show you the way it is done. You would go to the customize here in the rules. Rules are a way in Asana to automate things. That's always the same concept. You click on add a rule, and you will end up here creating your rule from scratch, closing the AI assistant for the moment, so we really make it by hand, human hands, and that's always the same concept. There is 3 here parts of that rule. First one on the left is when. That's what we call the trigger. It's like what is triggering the start of my rule. So let's say in that case, the trigger would be any ticket we receive. So in the Asana language, every ticket we receive is tasks is added to this project. Okay, any task that is coming to the project, meaning any person filling the form, would end up at the task here. In the middle is what we call the conditions. It's not mandatory. I could remove it if my rule was really straightforward. Let's say I want to always assign the rule to the same person. I would say here change assignee. And for example, let's say that Larry would be the one assigned to any tickets. That's what this rule means here. It means any new task in the project is for Larry. Okay, but what about I want to leverage the type and say, okay, but type 1 equal person 1, type 2 equal person 2. I would here use a check, like a condition, and actually the condition, I will multiply them to create a branch. So the check if would be, okay, if the type, and you have here search bar, very useful if you're searching for different type of condition, trigger, etc. You can type for them. So here, if I type, I will here find my field that is called type. Okay, if my field was called like dinosaur, I would have typed dinosaur. It's called type. I click on it, and here I can select an option of the type. So I could say, okay, if it's access, then that's for Larry. Then I want another branch. What I could do, I could recreate here add branch and recreate the whole thing. Otherwise here, manually create the branch. What I could do also to save a bit of time is duplicate this first branch. I duplicate it, in that way I have 3 copies, and that's much easier to access and say, okay, but in the second case, that's functionality would be not for Larry, but would be for Cheryl. Okay, good. And first case, if it's let's make the first case a bit broader. The first case would be if it's one-off. So if it's one-off, billing, privacy, other, in all those three cases, let me give it to Sergey. Okay, that's it. I have my automations that will automatically assign the tickets to the right person. If I here use that little button, AI would pick the right name for my rule, assign task by type. Okay, nice. Let me publish it. So 12 assign task by type. So this rule says every time a task arrives, based on the type, you give it to the right person. Okay, should we try to do it and see if that works? So let's say that I fill the form. So here, new ticket incoming. Here, Sergey instead of Mavi was chosen. If I come back here to understand what has happened, here, rule 11 says, it's actually still running, the 12 here, the 12 rule, the one we have created, assign the task to Sergey because it was type equal billing. Unfortunately, another rule was contradicting this, so another rule fired at the same time, and now we have a bit of a contradiction. But you get the idea. Based on those rules, you can create workflows that will do things automatically based on certain criteria. If ticket is type, if ticket is a priority, call a manager. If a ticket is a priority, I want to add some estimated time, because this will be helpful for me to forecast the time my team is spending on tickets. If it's like ticket big, medium, small, give this number of estimated time. So it's up to you to build those workflows, those rules, those automation that you might do like manually as humans, and it's based to you to create them in Asana using the rules and automation here with the rule engines. I will remove here my rule to not create chaos in that project that is already having some rules. And let me give you a bit more advanced features in Asana. All right, let's go back to the form and look at the different form options, because options can be relevant to decide how we will use the forms and make the most of those forms. Opening the form again and clicking here top right in the settings. What can I do with the settings? So first I can decide where my form tasks are pushed. Is it to a specific section of the project? Very useful here, I can choose the way the forms are naming tasks, meaning that as you could see in my project, when I was typing my name here, the name was used as the title of the task. Okay, this is a configuration you can define here. If not, your task will all be named by the project name. So all will be called customer service ticket, customer service ticket. Instead of that, configure this option here to get nice names in your task titles. But you could also say, I want to see the type of ticket plus the name of the person. That's completely fine. This you would say, okay, I want to see the type, which is actually, how can we help you today? That's this question here. And then name of the person. That's also completely fine to do it this way. Default assignee. Do you want to assign all tasks to someone specifically? Do you want to copy all responses to the task description? This is useful if you want to have all information in the description. If you don't check that, only the questions that are not saved in fields will be saved in the description. Here, very important, the way the form is shared. By default, it could be that the form is organization only, meaning that you need an Asana login to be able to fill the form. Added value is like people logged in Asana don't need to fill their email address, and you are making sure that you get data only from the people you know from your team or your company. But the drawback of organization only is that people without an Asana license cannot fill the form. So if you want everyone to be able to fill it, choose anyone can access. And if you choose organization only, which is a bit more restrictive, but you get a perk, which is here, the possibility to add submitters as task collaborator, meaning they will be added here directly in the task here. So they fill the form, they maybe don't have access to the ticketing project, but they get added to the task, meaning you can collaborate with them in Asana, ask them questions, etc. But this option, very useful, is only possible if you do organization only. If you do anyone can access, you won't be able to leverage here that form, that option, sorry. And another perks of organization only is that you can also communicate with people by email. So you could say here, I want people who submit the form that are Asana users. Full license could be also guests in your environment, but any users that are known in Asana, they can reply to my answers using email directly. Okay, and this is useful because you don't need to send them a different email. You can collaborate with them directly using Asana. You will push comment in the Asana task and they will receive emails. If they answer to the emails, you will receive comments in Asana. Very useful here. But again, then you need to have the organization only option. You can select here the confirmation message, even if it's a bit less important, but that could be still useful to give people some instruction, and show a button, add a new request. Okay, so that's the advanced option of the form to make sure that you see the different configuration of the form. At the end, the form is a link. You share it internally or externally. People use it to fill information. By filling that info, you receive a task in Asana. All right, what can you do more that we haven't seen today? Well, you could leverage different views here with different filtering and sorting options to get different like stages, status, phases of your project. So for example, this one is called queue, and based on here the filter is like every task that is incomplete, meaning we hide the completed ones, and it's grouped by ticket progress, so very useful to really handle the progress. But I could create another view here that is a completely different view that is only for completed tickets, and here my filter would be different, would be only completed ones, and my group would be different, would be only the sorted by and grouped by type. So then I don't care about like the different new ongoing because it's all completed. So I will either look at it from a simple list like that, or I could group by type or by tier, for example, could be also a valid option here to group by tier. You could also use board view. I wouldn't suggest board view for timeline type of projects when you have to deliver something in 6 months with a bunch of tasks. But for process, for workflows type of projects, I think it's valid to use the board view as an alternative to the list view. Instead of moving things from top to bottom, you would move things from left to right using the board view. And here you can select the group that you need, probably something about the progress of your ticket. So you can move them here from left to right. All right. What can I show you as a last thing? Well, if you here want to leverage this one, the resolution time, I think it's nice. You would edit, you would create actually a field called a formula field. I will edit mine to show you the backend. And this formula field, you would create a formula yourself and you would say completed minus created on. And this way you would get like a total number or a total time from completion or from creation to completion. And that's the way here I get this kind of result. And this value here, I could then leverage it in a report, in a dashboard. And actual time would be something you would ask colleagues, team members to say and declare how long they have spent working on the ticket. And they would say, okay, I've spent, for example, in my ticket, like 45 minutes, push time. And then the time will be here visible. And also you could use in a dashboard, in a graph. I hope this demo of a ticketing project was useful for you. Some key takeaways would be like a good ticket management starts with a structure intake using a form. That's my recommendation. Automation can support your triage but won't replace human. At the end, it's going to be a project with people collaborating. And finally, I would say that ticketing teams, and especially IT teams, will need both execution visibility, so the people working on the ticket, and also reporting capabilities, meaning looking at the numbers and macro picture data, etc. So it's both. This project is both operation but also generating data, helping you with managing your process in a broader perspective. Well, hope that was useful again. We are i.DO consultants and Asana Solutions Partner. We can support you with any needs regarding Asana, and also more generally any needs regarding your workflows as a company, your work management process. So yeah, feel free to reach out for us. And if you're already a client, maybe a champion, see you in the next session. Bye bye.